three.
What's up, everybody? This is your girl Cece with WIB Magazine, and I have my co-host on the line, Mickey Monday. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, Cece. How are you?
I'm good. Happy Tuesday.
Yes, happy Tuesday indeed.
Well, we have a special guest on the line. We have Candy Washington on the line. How are you today?
Hey guys, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good.
I'm doing good.
Too. Happy Tuesday.
Yes. Well, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
So I'm Candy Washington. I'm the founder of 1214 Media Productions, where we create inspiring content across film, TV, and digital platforms. So that's everything from short films to podcasts, to books, to social media campaigns. I'm currently located in Los Angeles, California, but I grew up in upstate New York, and I went to school at Georgetown in DC. And then in between graduation in LA, I lived in New York City and just did the fashion scene and the whole New York grind for a long time before I came over to LA, where I'm a Cali girl now.
Awesome. Well, how do you like it there?
I love California. I thought that I would come to Cali, do the LA scene and then hop back to the East Coast, head back to New York, because that's where I grew up, that's where I went to school, that's where all my friends and family were. But when I came out here, just the vibe was so chill that I just fell in love with it. And like driving down the street and seeing palm trees is just so calming and serene. And you have the same level of ambition in both Los Angeles and New York, but just the grind and the culture is different. There's like that hustle mentality in New York all the time, but in LA, it's more laid back and chill. So I like being more in a flow with it. So I came and now I'm here.
Awesome. I haven't been there yet, but I heard good things about it. But I heard it's really, really busy and expensive.
Yes, to both. But come visit. Everything's good. We'll go out.
Okay. Well, I wanted to talk about Narcissist. Tell us some more about that.
So Narcissist is the first film that we produced under the 1214 Media Production umbrella, and it explores accountability in the digital era. So the lead character our protagonist is Sienna James, and she's, a reality starlet. She's an Instagram influencer, and she kind of has that vapidness to her where you just see, she's out there and she's drinking and she's getting drunk and she's going off the edge. Think about like a Lindsay Lohan type person that's just kind of like a mess, but she still has this following of people that are just infatuated with everything that she does. And then on the flip side of that, you have a young follower of hers that's being cyberbullied at school, like her parents are really paying attention to her. And so she ends up committing suicide after watching one of Sienna's Instagram lives rant, being like, well, you think this person's gonna take my place? She's not. I'm gonna go home and drink myself to death and then I'll be more famous and da-da-da-da, like all this stuff. And so the story really explores who is accountable. Like, yes, you have this platform. Yes, you're this influencer. Yes, you're the celebrity, but are you accountable to the people consuming your content? Are the parents accountable for not really being there for their child? Are the bullies at school accountable for bullying her at school? And how much accountability does she have for not seeking the help that she needed instead of taking that drastic step? So it really looks at both sides of the coin. One, what is the mental health and just quality of life and self-worth and self-esteem that these followers are having, looking at people living these not fraudulent lives, but definitely highly curated and photoshopped and, cut and all that stuff that are highlighted reels of someone's life. It's not their real life. It's a highly curated version of their life that people are looking at it and thinking, well, how come I don't have that money? How come my thighs don't look like that? How come my hair doesn't look like that? How come my skin doesn't look like that? How come I don't have X, Y, and Z? And then feeling less than, feeling not good enough. So the other side of that is the influencer who is feeling am I a fraud? Am I a fake? Am I a phony? Like, I'm promoting this life, but at the end of the day, I just feel empty. You know, I'm drinking myself to death. I'm going out there and blacking out. I'm having all these like angry, you know, moments out there. Think about any reality TV. People are throwing chairs and having fights and slapping each other and going off the deep end, and they're glamorizing this sort of anger and this sort of violence, particularly between female on female. All the time you see them going at it. They thrive off of it. So it's like you're selling out your soul to be famous. How does that really make you feel at the end of the day? So that's really what the story explores, is just accountability to self and then accountability to others. And so I wrote it as well, which is really exciting. And you can find that now on Amazon Prime Video, and you can also watch it on SoFi TV. And we'll be doing more of that on the road.
And congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was definitely a labor of love. I started out more so on camera, so it was nice to be behind the scenes, and I had to really learn the business of it, like making sure like your SAG contracts are together, making sure you have your insurance, making sure you're paying your actors, making sure you have your contracts, you know, making sure your location is secured. And so it was really nice to get that business side of it down, because now that I've done it once, and then getting distribution, getting it to Amazon, getting it accepted, all that stuff. Now that I've done it once, now I have the blueprint to do it again. And so that was really exciting. Like, you did it once, you can do it again, and just keep creating and keep producing and keep promoting.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I gotta keep doing it.
That's definitely a beautiful thing when you, as a creator, you have all these facets that you tend to, and kind of like a jack of all trades, and then you're able to get everything done successfully, and it comes out nice, really well produced. I think that's definitely a great milestone to have under your belt.
Yeah, 100%. And to piggyback off of that, it was more of the mentors that I loved in my life and the creators that I really look up to laid out that foundation. You know, like, look at, you know, the Oprahs and the Taraji P. Hensons and the Mindy Kaligs. They all did that. They all started producing on their own, writing on their own, and really making sure that they had ownership of their projects, because that's really the difference between being a talent where you're just in something versus being the actual producer and owner of it. So I really learned that aspect, and also wanting to go out for roles that wasn't just, you know, cute, quirky sidekick, or, you know, like ethically ambiguous girl. You know, I wanted to go for a role that had a backstory, a meaning, an objective story arc, and that really told a story that's really not being told. One, being an influencer of color, you're really not hearing about that at all. And then also the flip side of it, like, not just the glitz and the glam, being this like ditzy person, but what is actually that person's internal struggle. And I really wanted to get that out there. And then, you know, it also talks about accountability. And on a personal level, the reason why accountability was so meaningful to me was I also had to be accountable to myself, because I would do, you know, different panels and different discussions. And I'd be like, you know, like, we have all this technology. There's no reason why you can't start a podcast. There's no reason why you can't write a book. There's no reason why you can't make a movie or a film or something. But I wasn't doing the one thing that I actually really wanted to do, which was create a show, to create a film, and to really do all the aspects of it. So I had to hold myself accountable. Like, am I walking the walk? It's one thing to talk the talk and get out here and be like, you can do it. Don't let anything hold you back. Don't wait for someone to give you permission. It's another thing to look yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm doing it too. So I had to, you know, hold myself accountable, and that really waved into it. So it's one thing to, you know, be promoting something. It's another thing to be walking in it.
Okay, nice. So just kind of keeping on this movie just a little bit, because I watched a little bit of it. I didn't get a chance to watch all of it, but I wanted to know, like, how was it getting into character for your movie, for Narcissist?
Yeah, so for me, getting into character, it took, the first thing I wanted to do was to really separate Sienna from myself. Because sometimes when I would talk about the storyline, people would think, oh, you're playing yourself. And it's like, no. Sienna is her own fully formed person. She is her own developed character. So the first thing I did was think about what were the differences between me and what were the differences between her. And then in this third column, I thought, but what are the similarities within the human experience? Because everyone, regardless of who you are, has felt insecure, has felt less than, has projected, has done something they shouldn't be doing. So what I did was I really wanted to separate myself from her, but then I wanted to make sure that I was bringing humanity to her character, because she's, looking for that father figure in her psychologist. She's looking for that validation. She's looking for one person to tell her it's not your fault, because she keeps saying, oh, it's not my fault, it's the paparazzi's fault, it's this person's fault. She's saying it's everybody's fault but her own. And so she's looking to him to say, see, like, right, like I'm right, like I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm okay, like I'm doing everything fine. But then when he flips it and he starts to not agree with her, then she has to come to terms with her own demons. So for me, I thought, well, where were times in my life where I didn't want to, again, it goes back to be accountable for what my actions are and to take ownership in what I was doing in a particular situation, good or bad. So I really wanted to make her her own character and her own self, but keep it rooted in that human experience. So anybody watching it, whether you're on social media, whether you watch reality TV, or you're not even into any of that stuff, you could say, I see myself in her. I understand where she's coming from, and I'm invested in what happens to her.
Okay.
Wow, yeah, that's you really have to dig deep for that. So yet again, I applaud you for that, because like I said, just based off of what I was watching, I could see some of the characteristics of what you were detailing, and with her kind of pointing out the paparazzi and using that as like a scapegoat. So yeah, that's pretty deep.
Yeah.
But kind of going back to what you said, I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, just kind of going back to what you said a couple moments ago about, Oprah, Taraji, Minnie Kaling, a lot of women who are in the industry and are, taking that leap of faith and, venturing into something that they initially didn't start in. But I was going to say, who are some of your biggest motivators in the industry aside from those women?
Aside from them, I also love, it might not be the popular opinion right now just because of some tweets, but J.K. Rowling, I think, is such an inspiring story. Like, she, I think was on like welfare, living in her car. She had kids and she just kept writing and she kept going, and she did not let anyone or person stop her. And she's now built literally $1 billion industry based on her writing. And I think that is such a testament to don't give up, don't stop, and don't let, current circumstances stop you from your future manifestations and your future goals and the future things that you could get, and realize that not, like, this too shall pass, nothing is permanent. So keep going. So I definitely love J.K. Rowling. Obviously, Chadwick Boseman now, like, just hearing that story was just completely heartbreaking. That A, he was battling colon cancer for 4 years, and B, look at how much he gave us, like how much he gave humanity and society in such a short amount of time while going through his own personal struggle. And it's like, look at everything he did. I can't complain today. So it just puts things into perspective. It's like someone is like literally fighting for their lives, and they're out there being, this amazing example for so many people, that it's like, what am I really complaining about today? Like, really, like, why am I not getting out there and just like going and getting it? And I saw a video of him talking about how when he was younger and he was in school, he couldn't pay for school. And so he got this, angel scholarship from Denzel Washington, who he had never even met, but was his, his mentor and his hero. And you can see how it just, he paid it forward, during an awards ceremony. He's like, there would be no Black Panther without Denzel. So it's like mentorship matters and heroship matters. And I think those examples of those people and what they've gone through is just harrowing and inspiring. and it checks you. It's kind of like those days where you want to complain. You're like, no, get up and go. Like, you're fine. Get after it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, those all good names that you mentioned. I mean, I could see
Yeah.
all you drawn in all that inspiration.
Seriously, yeah. It's like I'm single and I have no kids. I have no excuse. Like JK or with her children. Like I'm.
Yeah,
I have no excuse.
Right. So you also mentioned about being an entrepreneur, having other ventures, and also a podcast too. So can you tell us more about some of your books? I know one's called The Third. There's Sugar Pills, and then also The Entrepreneur's Guide to Personal Branding. So I kind of did a shorthand version of some of those titles, but if you want to kind of just give us an overview of what the books are about, and what led you to becoming an author and penning some books, because it's not an easy task. So I kind of want to just go through that.
Definitely not. So what led me to becoming an author is basically what led me to becoming an entrepreneur and a content creator in general, is that I was living in New York and I was working right out of school. I did an internship at Louis Vuitton in their PR department. So I learned all about storytelling through a visual medium. And then after my internship, I worked in PR and marketing just to get that sort of education and experience and knowledge. But on the side, I was blogging, I was going to acting classes, I was auditioning, I was, working in like off Broadway plays and doing like commercials. And so for me, I had to get really clear on what my purpose was. I was working this 9-to-5 job, in corporate America to pay the bills. And then on the side, I was doing everything that like brought me joy and happiness and passion of being a creator, but I couldn't continue to do both. And so I had to get very, very clear on what my personal purpose was. Why is Candy Washington on this planet? Why am I here? And my personal purpose is to add value to the lives of others through storytelling. And so storytelling can be podcast. It's this conversation we're having right now. We're just telling each other stories about our lives and our experiences. It's writing films, it's acting, it's doing social media campaigns. Those are just telling stories about a brand, telling stories about your experience. So I got very clear on what my personal purpose was. And that's when I quit my job and moved to LA, and I was like, I'm going to be a content creator. And kind of how it went. So that was my foundation for building everything I've built. So out of that came Sugar Pills, 10 Days to Awaken Your Inner Power, which was the first book I wrote. And that basically is just a compilation of different blog posts I had written throughout the years on being an entrepreneur and being someone who's going for my own personal success, again, without losing my sense of self. Because if you're a writer, if you are a designer, if you're an artist, if you're an actor, if you're a singer, what you're producing feels like a part of you. So if people aren't, if you go to an audition, you don't get it and you leave, you feel they rejected me. It gets so personalized. They're not listening to my music. They're not buying my books. They're not booking me as a person for this role. So I also had to get clear on, well, if I'm going to do this in a serious professional way, I need to learn how to separate my self-worth from what I'm doing, because all of this stuff is what I do. It is not who I am. So I would write different blog posts on perseverance, like, hey guys, this happened to me today. It was super, super tough, but here are 3 ways I got through it. Hey everyone, like I just had a really great experience, but here were 3 things that I had to overcome to get to that big win. So I just put it all into the book, and they're all based on personal experiences and things that have happened to me and how I got over it, like how to, create standards, how to have boundaries, how to create your tribe of creators, how to have a vision for yourself, and just really putting that all together. So the purpose of that book was to show people, yes, you can be a creative professional. Yes, you can be an entrepreneur. Yes, you can make money doing what you love because you deserve it. What you're putting out there is valuable and it's 100% okay to monetize it. There is no glory in being a starving artist. That's just a self-limiting belief that people put out there. So a certain type of person can continue making money. Just putting that out there. And so that was really what the book is about. And then at the end of the book, it's a 30-day mindset shift. So it's like writing down your I ams, like I'm valuable, I am worthy, I am enough, whatever resonates with you. And then your gratitude, which kind of goes back to like the Chadwick story. It's like, what am I really complaining about? Like what's really in my way right now? So kind of getting that perspective in check so you can get your joy back, because there's no reason to be hustling and going so hard for something and miserable and then get to the end of your life and look back on it and be like, I hated every second of it. I wasn't even happy. What's the point? Because the point is you only really have this moment, so you better enjoy it, because the next one isn't promised. So that was really what was the passion and purpose and meaning behind the first book. And then my second book is The Entrepreneur's Guide to Personal Branding. And that is basically just a super easy beginner's guide template to building a brand. Everything from naming your brand to your color scheme, your tagline, how do you create your ideal customer, what's your messaging, what's your mission statement, what's your vision, and then what's your tone. People don't think about that. Like, you need to have a tone. Is the tone of your brand friendly, informal, personable? Like for me, my brand, it is very friendly. It's a very friendly tone. It's like, I always before I write anything out, I think I'm only talking to my best friend, and that's the tone of my brand. So you read my stuff, it's like you're talking to me like this. So once you have that, both the tangible and the intangible, then how do you actually take those things and then actually apply it and activate it in real life? What does your business card look like? What does your LinkedIn, your website, your email signature, your clothing, the way you carry yourself, the type of speaking engagements, your Instagram, your Facebook? Because it's called the customer journey, is what I call it. So at each touch point, you want someone to know, oh, that's the Candy Washington brand. That's the Candy Washington brand. Think about franchises. You go to a McDonald's, you're in McDonald's. You could go to Germany and you could walk into a Starbucks, you're in a Starbucks. You go to Africa, walk into a Starbucks, you're in a Starbucks. So at every touch point, you want that person to know it is your brand that they are interacting with. So you really want to be clear, and you really want to be consistent across all platforms. And so it really just dives into that. And it's definitely a beginner's guide. Like, you could pick it up and not really know and just work through the worksheets and really have a blueprint to start it. And then I also give some tips at the end of how to make it profitable and how to become an expert. Like, make sure you get, speaking engagements, make sure you're always leading with value, make an e-course, make a book, whatever it is, just some tips on becoming an expert in your space so you can really monetize your content. And it's not about the number of followers you have. It's really about the value that you add. That trumps everything. Oh. And then the third book, ironically called The Third. I know, I'm so cheesy. So it's called The Third, and it's called A Story of a Spiritual and Sexual Awakening. And that one is a fictional novella, and it's about the story of a young woman named Minnie Walsh, and she's a copywriter living in LA, and she came from a childhood that was stolen from her. So her mother leaves her family for her father's best friend, and her father sort of collapses. And so she sort of takes on the role of being the mother, and she kind of like really takes care of the father. So she has this sort of distorted relationship that a lot of single parents have with their children, where the children really become parenthesized. They didn't really get to be kids because they were too busy taking care of the adults in the room. And so it kind of shows how that bleeds into her adult life. Like, she's very codependent. She doesn't really speak up for herself. She doesn't really have that self-esteem going. And then she gets propositioned by this older client in a very like salacious way. It's not 50 Shades. It's not erotica or anything like that. But it's her coming into her, I know, it's just her coming into her own, and it's really fun. And the end of the novella, there's like the question of, I'll give it away, whatever. So the end of the novella is the question of, does she go through with this, like sexy proposition during that time where she's starting to speak up for herself. She's starting to be autonomous. She's starting to push back on people that walk over her, because, you know, you can sense a person who doesn't have standards or boundaries. And sometimes, unfortunately, people will take advantage of that. If you let someone use you, they will. So she's getting to that point of her life where she's like, I'm done being the doormat. I'm ready to step into my own womanhood. I'm ready to step into my own power. And that's when she kind of gets faced with this dilemma. But in the novella, I left it purposefully on a cliffhanger where you don't know if she goes in or if she doesn't go in. You don't know. And so the feedback I got was, oh, we love it, but like, what does she do? You know, does she do it? You know, does she go with the client and have this crazy night? Like, what does she do? So of course, that is now the basis of my 4th novel, which I just finished the manuscript in, and that is called Triggered. And that is the expanded story of Minnie. I give way more backstory, I develop more of the characters, and I give it an ending. I let you know what happens to her. I let you know, does she go in the door, or if she doesn't go to the door, and what happens after that. So I just wrapped up that manuscript. And so my first 3 books I published under my own company, production company. For the 4th one, I'm looking to partner with a bigger publishing house. You know, you always want to be expanding, and you always want to be collaborating, and you always want to be, you know, growing a team that's really tight. So that's kind of like my future goal for this manuscript, and I'm really excited. I changed her name just to give her a little bit more of her own autonomy, but it's wild. Not to toot my own horn, but toot toot. Like it's a little. It's wild. It's a wild story.
Well, I had a question for you. Basically, okay, so you did an article for me in the magazine, and you talked about the article was how to turn self-love into power couple goals. So when you write those and that topic, is that writing it off of your personal experiences, or how do you come up with those topics?
So the way I come up with the topics is both. So it's either rooted in my personal experience, something that I either just went through or got through, and then I have the clarity to get what was that experience there to teach me. And so once I have the clarity of why did I have to go through this? Why did I have to go down like this? And then I can say, oh, because you need to learn lesson A, B, C, and D. So moving forward in your life, you're not going to make those same mistakes. You're going to take this wisdom and apply it moving forward. So when I do the articles like that, if I have a theme or a topic, if I can authentically say, I've gone through something similar to this, and then I have the clarity to get insights that could helpfully be of value to other people, then I'm going to tell my story. So that's sort of how I get those ideas. Usually it's either a magazine or a publication or a blog or something like that will have, you know, their love issue, their entrepreneurship issue, their woman issue, or whatever it is. They'll give me a theme, and then from there, I will take any personal experience, share it as authentically as I can, and hopefully give some insights to other people who either have gone through it or are going through it, and hopefully it'll be able to help them. But everything I write, even my fiction, everything is always rooted in a very real human experience, but it's always reimagined. The characters are made up, you know, like, again, like Sienna, you know, on paper we may look very similar, but we're vastly different people. So everything is rooted in a human experience, but it's all ultimately fictional and imagined. But the articles like that are always rooted in like real personal life.
Okay. Well, I know we have 2 trivia questions for you. So before we go to trivia, Mickey Monday, do you have any other questions before we go into trivia?
Yeah, I do. So, if I remember correctly, you're also in another series, another web series, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I'm also in a web series called The Salon, which is pretty cool, and that is with under producer Kelsey Grammer, because we were able to get his daughter Mason Grammer in it as well, and she's absolutely lovely. And that is basically a series about a salon, and you have different characters and people coming in. You have like, you know, the main hairdressers, and then each person has their own gossip and their drama, and who's beefing with who's sleeping with who, like what are the different, you know, dynamics. It's, you know, to think about like the barbershop, you know, like you go in to get your hair done, everybody has a story, everybody has some drama. That's kind of what the salon is about, and that's from Roxanne Captor Messina Films. And she actually used to, I think she just started TNT with Ted Turner back in the day. Like she was like such a big deal back in the day, and so it was really nice to be able to work with her and really learn about just her as a woman and the trajectory of her career. So it was great to do that. And I know it's being shopped around now to be bought, but we were just doing the like digital Emmys Awards, Creative Awards promotion for it. Yeah, so that was really fun. And my character is great. My character, she's very young. She's like a very almost like naive girl, and she, you know, does like hosting and like all that fun stuff. But then she has this guy boyfriend who dumped her via text while she's like on the red carpet trying to do her thing. And so like she goes to the salon and lets it all out. And like the older women are like, girl, let me tell you, my husband did this. So it's like, it's fun. It was such a good community of people. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, congrats again.
Yeah.
Congrats again on all your accomplishments.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. I was going to ask you really quick, just because like I was trying to do some more digging on it. So it's out though, right? Like you can watch it online, because I just saw the trailer. I didn't check to see if there was any episodes.
The salon, it was out during the Emmy promos, and now she's shopping it around to different distributors and buyers. But it'll be back out. Yeah, but during the Emmy sweep week, we all had it out, and you can watch the first season of it on SoFi TV as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we have our 2 trivia questions. Mine is simple and easy.
Yay!
So mine is, what is one fun thing you would do this month? And then the second part of it is, what is one goal you will want to accomplish for the month of September?
Okay, so one fun thing in September that I want to do is a late night picnic. I think with social distancing, like I don't really want to go to a restaurant per se. I'm still very much doing like quarantine and wearing masks and just really being safe. And I always love picnicking. So like maybe like a late night picnic and get, you know, maybe not candles. I don't want to start a forest fire here in LA, but I don't know, just do something a little sexy, you know, get some wine, you know, get a blanket, get some moonlight going. Yeah, some cheese and crackers. Night under the stars. And then one goal that I want to accomplish by the end of the month. Right now, my main focus is really getting a publisher on board for the expanded version of the third. Like just really getting us a bigger team for that. So that would be like my number one goal. And then I think on a personal level,
sure,
maybe to eat less carbs. Because I've been quarantined every day. I'm like, I deserve this.
September is my month, because September is my birthday month. So every September I take the whole month and I just enjoy it. So yeah.
Happy birthday.
Well, thanks. Mickey Monday, what's your question for today?
Yeah, so my trivia question for today is, if you can add a word to the dictionary, what word would you add?
Ooh. In the spirit of it being her birthday month, I would add the word Cansimber, because my birthday is in December, and I coined it Cansimber because it's the month of candy. Okay. So Cansimber, we all celebrate.
Yeah,
awesome.
Definitely make it a thing though. So
yeah. But before we get off, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mickey Monday.
No, I was just saying she can make it a thing.
Hashtag
it, you say it.
Stop trying to make that happen.
Right.
Before we get out, tell everybody where they can follow you.
Yes, so you guys can join me on Instagram at Candy Washington. That's also on Twitter at Candy Washington. Head over to my website, candywashington.com. You can watch Narcissist right now on Amazon Prime Video and also on SoFi TV. And you can pick up all 3 of my books either on my website or also on Amazon and Amazon Kindle if you want the hard copy or the digital version with Kindle. You can listen to my podcast, which is the Sugar Pills Podcast, A Practical Guide to Self-Care, wherever there are podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, like literally wherever there are podcasts, you can listen to it. And if anybody has any questions or you want to collaborate, you can feel free to either DM me on Instagram at Candy Washington or shoot me a note at info@candywashington.com.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Well, I want to say congrats on everything you're doing. Keep grinding. Thanks for interviewing with us today. It was very fun, and I enjoyed you.
I enjoyed you too.
It's a pleasure. Definitely a pleasure interviewing you.
Likewise.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Keep up the good work. Thank you. You too. Let's do it again soon.
Okay. Perfect.
Definitely. Okay. All right. Well, you be safe and happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Bye, guys.
Bye.
One, two, three.